You are Locked On Warriors POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors POSTCAST. I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, or maybe from some of these other Locked On Sports postcasts we do. We also do the Locked On Giants postcast and the Locked On 49ers postcast. But today, the Warriors couldn't figure out a way to win without Steph Curry and were bounced from the NBA playoffs after dropping Game 5 of the Western Conference Semifinals to Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This series highlighted the importance of Steph Curry to the Golden State Warriors, and it must have been absolutely agonizing for him to watch this season end from the bench. Ultimately, was this a successful season for the Golden State Warriors, or is it championship or bust at this point for the Dubs? We'll break it all down, but first I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. And thanks for watching on the Locked On Warriors, or listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. However you're tuning in, we appreciate you checking the show out, and make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors daily show for more in-depth coverage. In this one, I mean, in the start of the third quarter, the Warriors were entering the second half down 15, and you heard at halftime, the halftime interview on TNT, Steve Kerr clearly stated that the first 5 minutes coming out of the break would be key for the Dubs. I mean, they were keeping it close, within single digits at least, entering the final minutes of that first half. And then the Wolves went on a little run to stretch that lead out to 15, and the Warriors could not respond. I mean, this offense just does not have enough firepower. Without Steph on the floor, there's just not enough shooting on this team. You have guys like Brandon Pajemski and Buddy Hield that you're relying way too much on for scoring. For what it's worth, Pods did have his single best game of the postseason. He had 28 points tonight to lead the Warriors. He was 4-6 from three-point range, 11 of 19 from the field. He really stepped up. But the problem is nobody else really did. Kuminga had 26. That was nice. But past that, I mean, Jimmy Butler, I mean, he looked like he was really dragging out there tonight. I mean, he's been sick. He's been injured. I mean, it just seems like all these things started to catch up with him. And that's kind of a concern to me, because the Warriors are obviously an aging team. Their core, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, all old players in NBA terms. And injuries started to really pile up for two of these three players, at least in this season. And ultimately, that is what slowed the Warriors down. Is this going to be any different next season? I think there's a chance, but you got to have some roster reconstruction. You got to add more shooting. It's got to be paramount in the offseason for the Warriors. But tonight, let's just go through today's turning point before we get into all those extra things about what the Warriors need to do next. So tonight's turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And I do think that the main pivot point in this game was that first half of the third quarter, because the Warriors, I mean, they were kind of starting to, they looked like they were maybe going to start to cut into that lead when that second half started. And then the Wolves turned it back on. They pushed it over 15 points by the midway point. The Warriors did ultimately in the fourth quarter cut this one back to single digits for just a brief second, but the Wolves just weren't going to lose this game. Not at home, not with Edwards and Julius Randle playing the way they were. And man, Julius Randle is having one hell of a playoff series right now. He had 29 points again tonight. And really, if it weren't for the Wolves' 20 turnovers in this game, this one would have been an absolute barn burner of a blowout. Like, the Wolves would have just run the Warriors completely off the court. And as I said, this team, the Timberwolves, are just a much more complete team. You have guys who clearly know their roles. Their roles don't change game to game, and they're locked into what they're doing. They have very, very solid contributors off the bench, even though they aren't super deep. The guys who they do have, Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Dante DiVincenzo coming off the bench, that's a hell of a combo for bench players. Those are guys who would start on a lot of teams in the NBA. So credit the Wolves for pulling this one out. They've now reached back-to-back Western Conference Semifinals, or Western Conference Finals rather, and this is a good team. Honestly, I'm not totally upset about the way that the Warriors exited this playoffs, other than the fact that we did not get to see a healthy Steph Curry give the Wolves the Warriors' best shot. You absolutely, I mean, you saw less than one half of Steph Curry in this series. That is the unfortunate part of the way the Warriors went out. But ultimately, if I told Dub Nation back in early January, pre-Jimmy Butler trade, that this team was going to go all the way to the Western Conference Semifinals, you would have told me I was insane. You would have told me to stop laying, or to start laying off, the 420-isms. And you would have told me to get back to reality a little bit. The Warriors had no business, no shot being this deep in the postseason when we were about the halfway mark through the regular season this year. I mean, there was just no chance that this team was going to do anything, really. I mean, other than potentially make the play-in tournament and lose again, like we've seen them do in years past. I honestly, genuinely think that this was a successful season for the Warriors, despite not winning a championship. And I know that we've been spoiled here in the Bay Area with all these Warriors championships in the Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr dynasty. But ultimately, I think this was a successful season, and I think that's what you'll be talking about after this one.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And the reason I think this was a successful season for the Warriors is because you got to get back to the postseason, some meaningful playoff minutes for Steph Curry, for Draymond Green, for the Golden State Warriors. And that's a big deal because this team looked like it was just going to kind of ride out the Steph years into mediocrity again. And that's not what happened. Mike Dunleavy went out and made some major moves to go make this team competitive again. And I have no reason to believe, based on what I saw Dunleavy do this season, that he's not going to try and do the same thing for next year. I am 100% confident that Mike Dunleavy is all in on making this team competitive while Steph Curry is still on this roster. And you can talk all you want about what's going to happen after he retires, and should you maybe start to hedge your bets for the future. You can talk about that all you want, but all I really care about is that while Steph is here, the single greatest player in this franchise's history, you push all the chips into the middle of the table. You do everything you can to make Steph Curry's final years as a Warrior meaningful, competitive. I mean, you owe that to Steph. I will sign up for another whole era of it's a great time out and just mediocrity and bottom feederness from the Golden State Warriors if it means that Steph stays a Warrior for his entire career, and if it means that they are relatively competitive in the twilight of Steph Curry's career. What he's doing right now at the age he's doing it at, absolutely unprecedented. Like there's no other player in the NBA who's doing what he did. You might want to say LeBron James. He got bounced in the first round. The Lakers didn't look like they stood a chance against the Timberwolves. And I know the Warriors didn't really either, but I mean, with Steph Curry, this would have actually been a entertaining, legitimate series. There's no other player that draws the same gravity that Steph Curry does. There's no other player that can just change a game as instantly as Steph Curry does. And as long as he's on this team, I want the Warriors to push all the chips into the middle of the table and figure a way to have more playoff runs with Steph on the roster. As long as he's there, you got a chance. I mean, he's that good. You see tonight, based on how this series went, not just tonight, but you can see the gravity that Steph brings to this roster, the way that he just completely changes the game for everybody else in the blue and gold out there. And with Steph on the court, it frees up guys like Jimmy Butler, like Buddy Hield, like Brandon Podziemski to go out there and do their thing, to get open shots. And without him, you just don't have that. It's not at all the same team without Steph. And I've seen a lot of guys coming after Steph lately, saying that, he's old, he's washed, he's injury prone, all these things. I'm not buying any of that. Steph absolutely battled through so many injuries this season and constantly overcame adversity without a ton of help. I mean, name a superstar who has less help than Steph Curry on their team that made the playoffs. It's amazing what this guy is doing at age 37. And honestly, I expect him to just come back next year and be pretty much more of the same. I mean, I don't expect the injury problems to be as great as they were this year for Steph, but I do expect him to be the same human torch that he's been his entire career. And I think that gives the Warriors still a championship window, despite it starting to close. Like, there's no doubt about it that window is shrinking every year more and more and more. But the Warriors, I think, are really just a shooter or two away from being a real legitimate playoff threat again. And I mean, this team went all the way to the semifinals. You can't sit here and turn your nose up at what they did this season. I mean, there's not very many teams still playing basketball in the NBA, and the Warriors were one of them. For them to be able to beat that Rockets team, the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, and push through that game 7 and be able to come out of the play-in tournament and actually win a playoff series like this, in my opinion, was a relatively successful season. I don't think that you need to win the championship every single year for it to be considered a success. You set yourself up for a decent year next year as well. You have Jimmy Butler coming back, you have Draymond Green coming back, and you have Steph Curry coming back. And as long as those 3 guys are wearing Warriors uniforms, this is a playoff team. And this is a playoff team that has serious aspirations of winning a championship in 2026. And maybe it's too early to start talking about that. But the Warriors, I think, are going to be right back in it when they get back on the court next season. So, and you got some good pieces. Brandon Pajemski showed you what he's got tonight. I mean, he has not had a good postseason, but you can see what he's capable of. I don't think that Pods should be the Warriors, second or third scoring option. I really think that that's setting yourself up for failure, because he's not going to be a legitimate scoring threat day in and day out. I mean, if the Warriors, who knows if Jonathan Kuminga is going to come back? Probably won't. Maybe you can sign and trade him and move him for a shooter and actually, have a better team chemistry. You can make up this team to actually play around the pieces that it has much better than it's currently constructed. And it's just kind of the way the chips fell this year by the Warriors going out and getting Jimmy Butler and obviously losing Klay Thompson last offseason. You really need another shooter on this team. And I think that if you can move Jonathan Kuminga for a shooter, it's not a bad choice, man. Not a bad choice. We've got more to break down from this game on the other side. We got to give out a player of the game before we get on out of here. Don't go anywhere on our final Locked On Warriors postcast of the season. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by WayFair. Spring is here, and that means it's home project season. Whether you're refreshing a room or tackling a full renovation, WayFair is the best kept secret for all things home improvement. From small updates like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanities, sinks, or hardware lighting or outdoor lighting, WayFair has quality products for every single budget. I love all of the pieces that I found on WayFair that I have scattered throughout my little apartment here in San Francisco. Everything that you need, you can find there. Small, big, does not matter. They got what you need, and their free and fast shipping made it so easy, no hauling heavy items from the store. And I love that they have top brands like GE and Moen at great prices, and shopping was seamless. I found exactly what I needed to fit my space and my style. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started right now at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. And today's show is also sponsored by CarGurus. Shopping for a car should be exciting, not exhausting. But between the confusing prices and hidden fees, can feel overwhelming. That's why I love using CarGurus. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, CarGuru has more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace in the US. They verify dealers, provide real price analysis, and give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second guessing yourself. If you need a deal you can trust, CarGurus makes it easy to compare vehicles side by side with unbiased deal ratings. In the best feature, price drop alerts, so you know exactly when the perfect car is available for your budget. Plus, the in-depth vehicle details give you peace of mind before stepping onto any lot. Buy or sell your car today with CarGurus at CarGurus.com. Go to CarGurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com. CarGurus.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Warriors end their season with a loss in Game 5 of the Western Conference Semifinals to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle were very, very, very good tonight. Ant had a playoff career high in assists with 12. He had 7 boards and 22 points. He was doing everything for the Wolves. Julius Randle also had a great game, great series for him. He's been on fire this whole postseason. 29 points, 8 boards, and 5 assists. And the Warriors, I mean, they really should have been blown out in this game. If it wasn't for the Timberwolves' 20 turnovers, this game would have been a barn burner. And also, the Warriors pulling down 18 offensive boards and absolutely killing the Timberwolves in second chance points. I did not see that happening, especially with Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle and Naz Reid and all these huge bodies down low that the Timberwolves have. Should really be a better rebounding team than they are. And I wonder how that's going to stack up against either the OKC Thunder or the Denver Nuggets going forward. I think these Timberwolves are going to get absolutely brutalized by either one of those teams that gets into that wins that series. We'll see what happens. But for the Warriors, it's time to turn the page into the off season. I mean, you start to look around what's going to happen with Jonathan Kuminga. You start to wonder what the Warriors need to add in the offseason, shooting, as we just talked about. And you start to wonder whether or not the Warriors can keep their superstars healthy through next season at their age that they're at. And all those things are going to be major factors that play into whether or not the Warriors are going to make it back to this point or further next season. So all things to watch going forward. But for tonight, one more piece of business we got to take care of. Tonight's player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
And tonight's player of the game is Brandon Podziemski. He had 28 points to lead the Warriors, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He was playing pretty good basketball. He had a couple steals as well. Only 2 turnovers for Pods. So I liked what I saw from him. 4 or 6 from 3. He was pretty good in the 38 minutes he played. Just wish we could have seen this with more consistency from Brandon Podziemski. Maybe the Warriors, if they had this from him on another night, would have been able to push this game to a game 6 or this series to a game 6. And if Steph came back, you never know what's going to happen. With Steph Curry on the court, it changes the entire complexion of this series. But ultimately, you know, that's not what happened for the Warriors. They were not able to figure out a way to win without Steph. But most teams aren't able to figure out ways to win without their superstar player. Yes, the Celtics did win today without Jason Tatum on the floor, but that team is so incredibly deep. They have, like guys like Derek White, who are on the U.S. Olympic team. You have Jaylen Brown, who's a perennial all-star. You got other pieces on that Boston team. The Warriors are just not that deep. They're very top heavy, and you got to figure out how to add some depth this off season. And you did have a lot of revelations this year. Quentin Post may be a guy that can contribute minutes going forward. Guy Santos may be a guy who can contribute minutes going forward. Pat Spencer even showed you some stuff this postseason. So you have some pieces to work with going forward. Maybe some pieces that you can package in some trades. Maybe you can go get a bona fide third scorer for this Golden State Warriors team with Jimmy Butler and Steph, and that would change the complexion of this team. So the Warriors have some work to do this offseason, and they'll have some time to do it, man. I mean, the season, the offseason is not as long as the NFL in the NBA, but they have plenty of time to rest up, get healthy, and get ready for next October when they can start the next playoff push for 2026. And I do expect the Warriors to make the playoffs next year. I mean, as long as you have the core, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Steph Wardell Curry, anything is possible. So that's all the time that we got for you guys today on the Locked On Warriors postcast, our final Locked On Warriors postcast of the 2024-2025 NBA season. It's been a ride. I had absolutely no idea that the Warriors would still be playing basketball at this point, way back when in the beginning of this season. It's been a crazy year, man, from the red hot start the Warriors had in October and early November to just falling off the face of the planet. The Dr. and Jekyll experience of Buddy Hield, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde experience of Buddy Hield, and playoff Buddy come into play and making just a huge lasting impact on the memories of Dub Nation from Game 7 of that Houston Rockets series and Game 1 of this Minnesota Timberwolves series. The Jimmy Butler trade, like, it's just been a hell of a year for the Dubs. Lots of ups and downs, and we'll see what they have in store for us next season. It's all the time we got for you guys today. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next season. Peace.